are these people?
It's time. Everybody knows it's your favorite segment every week. It's...
What?
What was that?
Is
that for Boats Later?
That's what that was.
Is that for Boats Later? Oh, that's just... okay. It's everybody's favorite time. It's Fuck Israel time.
Elevator music.
Every day is Fuck really Israel Day when they're committing genocide. So I'm just going to start... Intro. Nice. With a Sky News, and because you know how much we love corporate media around here. Officials say that more than 100 people have been killed in Gaza in 24 hours, making it the deadliest day in a week.
A week?
100 people in 24 hours is the deadliest day in a week. Fuck Israel. Yes, and Tiberius, of course, has to point out, still less deadly than 10 minutes in Philippi. I don't even know what that means. Yeah, okay, and then you've got all the garbage clowns in the replies. So, and not to be
scroll Twitter,
not to be outdone.
Gross.
All right, Dave DeCamp at antiwar.com. Israeli forces killed 50 Palestinians in Gaza over 24 hours, and another 4 Palestinians starved to death due to the U.S.-backed Israeli blockade. Isn't that nice? So this was August 14th. That was 3 days ago. So that was on Thursday. Gaza's health ministry said on Thursday that Israeli forces killed 50 Palestinians over the previous 24-hour period. As relentless U.S.-backed Israeli attacks continue across the Strip amid Israel's preparation to escalate its genocidal war, because they haven't murdered enough yet. The health ministry said that the bodies of another 4 Palestinians killed by previous attacks were recovered. Quote, a number of victims still under the rubble and on the streets, where ambulance and civil defense crews are unable to reach them at this time because they've destroyed all the roads. I didn't even know there were any ambulances left at this point. On top of the violent deaths, Palestinians continue to starve to death due to the Israeli blockade and restrictions on aid. The health ministry said that it recorded 4 malnutrition deaths over 24 hours, which brings the total number of victims of famine and malnutrition alone to 239, including 106 children. There's a photo of one killed in an airstrike. Among those violently killed by the IDF were desperate Palestinians seeking food aid. We're going to cover more of that. The health ministry said that 22 aid seekers were killed and another 269 were injured. Of course, they don't have the medical capabilities to really take care of those 269 by design. Since the U.S.-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, you mean American mercenaries, began operating at the end of May, the health ministry has recorded the deaths of 1,881 aid seekers and the injuries of 13,863.
Starving people.
Unbelievable. The Palestinian news agency, WAFA, reported that at least 5 Palestinians were killed by Israeli fire near an aid center north of the southern city of Rafah. The news agency also reported Israeli airstrikes and shelling in Khan Yunis and Gaza City. I think one of those shot by Israeli fire in the north was child. At least 8 Palestinians were killed in an Israeli bombing of a house in Gaza City's Zaytun neighborhood. Israel has significantly ramped up its attacks on Gaza City as it's preparing to launch a new offensive to take it over, a plan that involves forcibly displacing 1.2 million civilians with artillery fire. The health ministry said that the latest violence has brought its death toll since October 7th, 2023 to 61,776 officially. Number of wounded to just over 154,000, almost 155. Studies have shown, of course, that the ministry's numbers are likely a significant undercount. And that's, I believe, the Nader article that says it's like 500,000.
Mhm.
So, subscribe to antiwar.com. Dave DeCamp, great writer, one of the top Indie Media Award honoree, support independent media like that. Part of the Libertarian Institute, too. Now, I haven't brought one of this guy's articles in a while. Simplicius is Garden of something, Simplicius the Thinker. I think they used to call it his Garden of something. I think they got rid of that. But this was just laying it out. Israel announces the final plan to occupy Gaza. It's not, it sounds like a final solution.
Like solution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Netanyahu has announced plans for the final takeover of Gaza, which he's announced as billing as liberation from Hamas. The way that they declared,
Nothing justifies genocide.
the way they declared August 16th Liberation Day in D.C., right? It's unreal.
Uh-huh.
Same type of shit or whatever, 15. I'm not going to play the RT video because I don't want to get it knocked out by YouTube. Then there's a timeline refresher from 2023 above to the present time below. Netanyahu says Israel doesn't seek to occupy Gaza. That was November 9th, 2023. But now, August 4th, 2025, he's decided on full occupation of Gaza Strip. All right. It's interesting how, given Netanyahu's above infographic,
fuck the hill.
Yeah, fuck the hill too.
Fuck them.
Israel's objectives in Gaza can be superficially compared to the Russian SMO. The difference is Russia is following international law, whereas Israel is breaking it. It was the UN itself which established the known precedent that a people have the right to self-determination when it came to Serbia being pressured to recognize Kosovo's independence. But in Donbass or even Gaza, no such right to self-determination and official recognition apparently exists. In Ukraine, Russia's only enforcing the UN's very own standards on self-determination, while in Gaza, Israel is breaking it. Interesting dichotomy there. To further highlight the hypocrisy, listen to J.D. Vance's latest statement, wherein he breezily describes taking military control over Gaza as being up to Israel. But the same privilege is for some reason not afforded to Russia in taking over Donbass. Why is that? Well, I think it's because Donbass was technically part of Ukraine, but they've separated. They've announced their independence and asked to align with Russia. They're mounting
9 years of bombing might fucking make you feel a way about it.
You might, it might.
So
there are mounting issues for Bibi, who seeks as swift an operation as possible to mitigate growing disaster. Echoes of brewing civil war have erupted in Israeli society over growing exhaustion and the issue of Haredi military exceptionalism, meaning that the ultra-Orthodox don't have to serve. All right? And you can't go to war
I heard
with
someone complaining about that, too. One of these rabbis over there was like, they're not sending, they're sending our children or whatever.
Right? So this includes large ongoing general protests against the new Gaza occupation plan in Israel. Like, they're pissed. They don't want to occupy it either. Next is the fact that multiple world leaders have had enough of Bibi. Yeah, right. That's all a show. I'm not even going to
blame it on a baby.
Right? Macron announced France would officially recognize Palestine in September. Bullshit. Other major countries follows. Palestine already has an official delegation at the UN. Like, officially, like, who gives a shit? It's meaningless.
Yeah.
All right. Germany will, until further notice, authorize no military equipment exports that can be used in the Gaza Strip. Yeah, like they can fucking control that.
Meanwhile, their companies are already deciding to do so anyway.
Right? Yesterday, news broke that Trump had allegedly yelled at Bibi on the phone. Enough of this bullshit. This is all theater nonsense. They're all in cahoots. They're all part of this. Of course, virtually all the political reactions above are performative in nature, while every country secretly
Correct.
does its utmost in supporting Israel's military machine. These leaders are simply trying to sit in both chairs, appease their growing domestic Muslim crowds, while still carrying out their secret pro-Zionist directives. Not even secret. This is accelerated recently with many other subversive developments taking place. In Lebanon, there are renewed threats of civil war as the Lebanese government has raised pressure on Hezbollah to disarm, which would be insane because it just means your country's totally going to be taken over by Israel. In an interview with the Lebanese defense minister, apparently admitted to coordinating with Israel in disarming Hezbollah south of the Litani.
Hezbollah. What
Insane.
a fucking stooge.
Insane. Did Al Jazeera fabricate this interview?
Occupation! Fight the occupation!
That's a good one. Meanwhile, a cockamamie plan to relocate Lebanese Shiites to Iraq is even being floated as Israel clamps down on its plans to entirely dominate the surrounding region as total hegemon. That's nuts. So now they not only want to expel the Palestinians from Gaza, they want to expel the Lebanese Shiites to Iraq with all the other Shiites that are in Iraq.
Greater Israel. Anyone? Anybody?
This is in service of Greater Israel. Right? So then we've got Lebanon Shia, or a majority, estimated at close to 2 million. So you're going to drive 2 million people out of the country? How are you going to do that? I have an idea. It's the same way they did it to Gaza.
Yep.
They're going to destroy it block by block, bomb the fuck out of it. Unfortunately, that's in parallel to a recent uptick in coincidental events like Hezbollah ammo sites suddenly going up in flames. Huh. Here, you had at least 4 Lebanese troops killed, 7 injured by an ammo blast in the south of the country. Reports that they'd been taking down Hezbollah weapons depot. Footage from Lebanese media of ambulances racing the site. Right, but you don't get to see what happened. So this, again, we got maps, you know, Azerbaijan, that's also part of this also. That's why I wanted to bring this. U.S. and Israel continue to push toward total hegemony over the Middle East with an unprecedented urgency. On one hand, the urgency is derived from known geopolitical factors, i.e., time not being on Israel's side, but on another, from the momentum of a series of perceived successes, which has caused the U.S.-Israeli hegemon to believe that they can put the finishing blow on all remaining resistance in the region, because they've taken out Assad, they've taken out most of Hezbollah's leadership, so now the only thing left standing is Iran. And Yemen, of course, the little thorn in the side.
Yeah.
This, of course, refers to the fall of Syria, like I said, a newly perceived upper hand of Azerbaijan over Armenia, which has allowed the U.S.-Israeli Hydra to begin maneuvering for a stranglehold. This brought a recently narrowed focus on the Zangezur corridor.
Zangezur, yeah.
Yeah, where Armenia just signed over a 99-year lease of rights to the United States. I believe Vanessa Beeley wrote an article about this specific agreement. So go follow her and subscribe at vanessabeeley.substack.com. Another Indie Media Award honoree. I didn't bring that tonight. The new corridor is glibly being designated as the TRIP, or the Trump route for international peace and prosperity. Oh my God.
Okay.
As they bomb the fuck out of Yemen and Lebanon and Syria and soon to be Jordan and Egypt and Iraq. I mean, Greater Israel. Quote, the corridor links mainland Azerbaijan to its Nakhchivan enclave. Nakhchivan, right? Which is separated by a 32-kilometer stretch of Armenian territory, while maintaining the sovereignty of Armenia over the territory. The route will be operated according to Armenian law, and the U.S. will sublease the land to a consortium for infrastructure and management for up to 99 years. I wonder who that consortium is going to be run by. I wonder if there'll be any Israeli influence in there. Huh. It will facilitate trade, energy transit, and regional connectivity, including rail lines, oil and gas pipelines, fiber optic cables, and roadways. Many hardline figures in Iran naturally reacted with scathing condemnation, as the deal clearly implies the positioning of U.S. assets directly on Iran's northern border. They don't give a fuck.
Yep. No.
I mean, look, we supported Israel bombing them with air support earlier this year, and they didn't do shit really to us. When they hit the thing in Qatar that they warned them in advance they were going to do. Keep in mind, Iran has already notably been attacked by Israel using Azerbaijani corridors in the last series of exchanges, with attack flight paths charted here. All right, so Simplicius has actually done the work here to chart all this stuff out. As such, it's clear that the deal opens up another potential avenue to box Iran in from the north, which obviously stands to be a highly destabilizing development, as Iran will be forced to react. I mean, what would we do?
Well, there's also
go ahead.
Also coincides with the David corridor too, which is the other part of this that, essentially it's we're doing two things at once to try to encroach and encircle, essentially.
Right.
So,
Natalie Williams, happy birthday to you. Good to see you here. Sorry, it's in the middle of this awful segment, but I saw you there.
President.
Right. That being said, many have expressed justifiable doubts about the extent of Trump's deal. Of course, because everything taco, but it's not taco. It's actually Trump always collapses. Is more like it. The deals that he announces always collapse. It can be directly compared to Trump's superficial milestone for the development of Ukrainian land, which everyone knows was nothing more than a political performance and has no real chance of bearing fruit. Similarly here...
He prefers taco salads anyway.
Right? Sure. Although he doesn't like the spice. We know that. Similarly here, the deal puts points on Trump's scoreboard, but leaves huge questions as to how much it can actually tangibly accomplish. Some have rightfully called into question the U.S.'s ability to even construct railways back home, let alone build out such ambitious freight lines into a new Silk Road-esque corridor in distant Eurasia, a feat that requires a major suspension of disbelief. The U.S. is no China. We can't even get high-speed rail in California. Either way, the economic angle of Trump's prosperity route deviously conceals the real geopolitical motives, which, as is always the case in Trump's administration, are tied to benefiting Israel first and foremost. The U.S.'s involvement on Iran's border can only be designed to put new pressures on Iran while facilitating the long-term Zionist plan to dismember or destroy Israel's arch nemesis once and for all. Right? So even Mark Ames says so. The only problem is any gain for Azerbaijan is a gain for Turkey, and a gain for Turkey is a loss for Israel. Thus works the immutable balance of powers of the region's zero-sum game. Also, the action has potential to create the unintended consequence of further strategically uniting Iran and Russia over the unwelcome breach in this shared critical region of theirs. Recall the infamous 2019 RAND report on destabilizing Russia, which lays out 6 possible U.S. moves in the current geopolitical competition. Provide lethal arms to Ukraine, which we did. Resume support to the Syrian rebels, which we did. Promoting regime change in Belarus, which we did. Exploiting Armenian and Azeri tensions, which we did. Intensifying attention to Central Asia and isolating Transnistria, a Russian-occupied enclave within Moldova. Watch this space. To come back around, Israel's new Gaza operation is meant as a final solution, as literally outlined by Israeli officials. And I'm not going to put that douchebag up. Note the above. Palestinians are to be processed into central camps with anyone remaining in the city.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. Not concentrated into camps, i.e. those who refuse to be forcibly and ethnically cleansed.
Central camps.
They'll be designated as Hamas militants and appropriately destroyed. This IDF plan is meant to bring Gaza under total Israeli control.
Keep an eye out for the Zyklon B purchases from Israel. I'm just saying.
Seriously. This IDF final plan is meant to bring Gaza under total Israeli control, but with increasing mass casualty incidents for the IDF of late, it remains to be seen how successful this latest bumbling foray can be. We can only expect more of the same failure, with Netanyahu again forced to drum up an Iranian threat to extricate himself from another self-made disaster in a few months' time. The only question will be, will Trump, reportedly experiencing declining popularity for the first time, not fifth time, owing to his diehard Zionism, will Trump support the inevitable future escalation train against Iran? Or has he finally had enough?
Yes.
And will he find the backbone to stand up to his boss once and for all? No.
Like he had one to begin with. Okay.
His boss isn't Bibi, it's Miriam Adelson. It's the Mossad.
Yeah.
Latest polls continue to show a strong Democrat surge for the 2026 midterms. There's always blowback in the in the midterms after a changeover presidential election. So I expect the Democrats are probably going to...
They've elected the new pope!
No, not a new pope, a new Congress. There'll be a new Congress.
Whatever.
Right? But of course...
Same difference.
Yeah, in the incorrigibly corrupted AIPAC-owned Republicans, guess what? The Democrats are AIPAC-owned too. Both sides.
AIPAC-controlled Dems, yeah. Both sides, Johnson.
As a last related note, here's eminent economist Richard Wolff being very direct about what comes next. And I'll let him say it.
Old Wolfie.
The American empire is over. We're done.
Oh, maybe.
We peaked about 12, 15 years ago, and we are on a down. And it's very hard for the American people, which I understand. I am one. It's hard to get your head around that. We've had a century of on the way up, which is a lot more fun than on the way down. But it does happen to every empire. We're only the latest. Look at the British, how far they've fallen. We're in that process. If you take the United States together with the other G7 countries, that used to be the dominant bloc of the world, right? The United States, let's just enumerate them so everybody knows. Canada, Japan, Germany, France, Italy, and Britain, okay? The G7 world. And I'm going to add up all the GDP, gross domestic product, total output of goods and services of all of those 7 countries, U.S. and its major allies. And now I'm going to compare it to the gross added up GDPs of China and its allies, known now as the BRICS. Okay, you add up the United States, about 28% of world output. You add up China and the BRICS, it's 35% of the world output. We aren't the wealthiest bloc in the world. We're number 2. And that's new. And that changes everything.
And if you ain't
and
first,
you can rattle
you're
your
last.
sabers all over the... You put the 7th Fleet in the South China Sea, isn't going to change that. You've got to come to terms with that, but we are led by people who don't want to do that because nobody wants to be the politician who has to explain to the people it's over.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
just keep in mind, BRICS modeled after the World Bank.
Yes, BRICS is no
in and of
better
itself could
than the
be a
United
problem at some
Nations.
point.
That's right. BRICS is just another
They're their
behemoth
own
like NATO.
capitalist empire.
Right. So fuck Israel
Sorry
for
if
all
that
that.
upsets you.
Journalist and scholar Assal fixed it for you. Okay, it's not just bad coverage of Gaza. Western media is also largely ignoring what's happening in West Bank, which we have been talking about. Because if they reported all of it accurately, the public would see that Israel's real goal is stealing all the land and erasing Palestinian existence. What do you mean? Oh, the West Bank is seeing a creeping Nakba. What? Amazing. But people aren't really paying attention.
A lot of stuff happens that the news won't tell you.
But that's Haaretz. That's even in Israel. They're telling everyone what's happening.
Yeah.
And as Assal reminds us, we covered last week, this is why Israel murders journalists. Because
I brought this on Wednesday.
Did you?
It's a good graphic from this
It is a good graphic
from
the Seer. All right. And I think that was all I had tonight for Fuck Israel. I think that was enough. I liked Simplicius' article. It kind of sets a geopolitical kind of landscape and touches on a bunch of different things. Go give them a follow. I'll put that. It's simplicius76.substack.com. I'll drop the link in the description and in the Substack afterwards. Oh no, I did have more. Sorry. No, not that. Hind Khoudary. Israel is wiping out everything we ever had. All right. That's another one. All right. And she's there. I tweet what I see and feel.
Yep.
Oh, this was the other one I had to bring. This is another one from Indie Media Award honoree, Sharon Zhang. All right. At Truthout. Israel abducted a child near Gaza aid site and then tortured him for nearly a month. Unreal. Content warning. This report includes graphic descriptions of torture. Israeli forces abducted a Palestinian child near an aid site in Gaza in June and took him to a notorious prison camp where they subjected him to severe torture for nearly a month. A child rights group has found, adding abduction and imprisonment to a growing list of atrocities reported at Israel's aid sites. On June 29th, Israel had already killed nearly 600 Palestinians near aid sites over the previous month. 16-year-old Omar Nizar Mahmoud Asfour was detained by Israeli forces and taken to State Haman military prison, reports Defense for Children International Palestine, or DCIP. Omar was near an aid distribution site in Gaza when Israeli forces apprehended and abducted him. The Palestinian Center for Human Rights reports that Omar was one of 10 children abducted near a Gaza Humanitarian Foundation site that day and imprisoned. Authorities allegedly held Omar for 26 days, subjecting him to torture, starvation while he was already being starved, and solitary confinement. Systemic abuses commonly inflicted on Palestinians at State Haman and other Israeli torture camps. He was never charged with a crime or allowed to meet with legal or humanitarian officials. Sounds a lot like what the fuck is happening here.
Yep.
Israeli forces have been conducting near-daily massacres near aid distribution sites since Gaza Humanitarian Foundation began operating in Gaza on May 27th, killing over 1,400 Palestinians this way as of August 1st. Over 850 of these killings were near Gaza GHF sites, and hundreds of others were killed en route to the food distribution hubs. It's gross. These massacres have been widely reported. Less widely known is that Israeli forces have repeatedly abducted Palestinians near aid GHF sites, human rights groups have said. Some of the tens of thousands of Palestinians from Gaza and the occupied West Bank who've been kidnapped and imprisoned since the beginning of Israel's genocide, including at least hundreds of children. At least hundreds of children. Imagine that were your kid. Omar shared his experiences with DCIP. He said he's still experiencing trauma from his detention, which he was released from on July 24th. Thank goodness. Quote, the memories of my detention plague my nights, and often I awaken to the sound of my own screams as if I were still confined within those walls. The nightmares are relentless, and every time I shut my eyes, the same faces and interrogations replay in my mind. This is not going away for him for life, as long as his life continues, until Israel decides they want to murder him, after imprisoning and torturing him. I mean, it's just the worst. Fuck Israel. These cunts, man. Omar was alongside other aid seekers when Israeli forces encircled them, held him at gunpoint, and then forced him and 34 others to strip to their underwear. They were taken to an army site where soldiers allowed children to leave, but then blocked Omar from going with them. He was a child, but I guess he looked taller than the others, so they stopped him. Officers interrogated Omar, but were unsatisfied by his answers, so they brought him to the roof of the building, a hospital in Rafah now used by the IDF as an army base per DCIP. There, they tied him to a rope and hung him upside down off the side of the fucking building.
Like fucking Batman?
At one point, the person interrogating him released
Christ.
more rope, causing Omar to plummet 5 floors, his head stopping about a half meter just before he hit the ground. He said he was suspended this way for 20 minutes. Imagine the blood rush into your head then. He struggled to breathe. It felt as though I was teetering on the brink of death. These people are already being tortured and starved. Omar was subject to other torture before being taken to the torture prison, Stay Taman, where Israeli officers blindfolded him and put him in a 1 square meter cage for 3 days straight. Then they took him to a part of the prison known to detainees as the hell section, as if the rest of it wasn't, where they subjected him to yet more torture, including beatings, electric shocks, and sleep deprivation, and later the disco room, a cage-like room where officers play extremely loud music. For a week while detained, Israeli officers...
Where have we seen that before?
Gitmo?
One of, sure. I was thinking of Abu Ghraib, but sure.
For a week while detained, Israeli officers also interrogated Omar about members of his family, beating him when the answers were unsatisfactory. Because you know that, forced confessions under torture certainly hold a lot of weight. No, they don't at all. Since the moment I was released, I've been waking up in a state of fear, he said. My sleep is shallow and fragmented, leaving me unfamiliar with the sensation of true rest. Insomnia is a silent killer, and the exhaustion I feel is not merely physical, it penetrates my very soul, as if the ordeal of detention has merely transformed rather than concluded. Fuck Israel. Most humane military in the world, right? Only democracy in the Middle East.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Only democracy in the Middle East, right, everyone? These motherfuckers. These motherfuckers. Cunts, as Kieran
Your continued
Pine.
existence is a mockery of morality.
That's a great movie. I think there was just the anniversary of Pogba
You
in the
remember
theaters.
what happens right after that, right?
I do.
That's what I'm wanting.
That's in the that's in the movie conference room.
Go get Matt Damon. Matt Damon.
You didn't say God bless you. Yes. Agreed, KYE. Yes, they did, Steve Gill. I didn't want to bring that. They blew up a little girl heaving a water jug.
I know.
I couldn't. I couldn't. Sadistic fucks. Yes, they are. Good to see Ryan Bradley. That's fucking wild, but that's their MO when it comes to the prisons they have. As fucked as it is to say, I'm sure they assaulted him in other ways. Yeah, they probably did. Oh, man. Well, we're certainly not going to be remonetized by YouTube for that one. You better. Although there is a channel that is monetized over there. You go to youtube.com/ @indie@INN, but don't do that.
Not for long.
No, do it over here. Go do it at Cash App, $ Indie News Network, over at ko-fi.com/Indie News Network.
Money, please.
At paypal.me/Indie News Network. Okay, you've got indienewsnow.com, where we have a website where you can check out the news and watch this show live, all the INN shows. And then at Substack at INNnewsletter.com and at IndieMediaToday.com, both. All right. Cunt count is now Noof, the genocidal swine. Yes, that's nice.
9.
9. That's right. We 9.
9.
I love you all. Take care of each other. Support independent media because we really need it more than ever. And I'll see you soon. Love you all. Have a good night, everyone.
We up out of here. Mwah. Ciao, baby.
No! We just fucking lost the stream!
I guess this isn't such an awful place. Is that what you want?